Arthur and Maya buy an old house with a beautiful wooden kitchen. One night, they hear a strange humming sound vibrating through the floor. When they break open a hidden pantry wall, they discover a dark concrete bunker that is missing from every house record. In the center of the dark room is a glowing, ancient radio. To their horror, the speaker is playing a live audio feed of their own whispers in the kitchen. But as they listen to the static, a third sound comes through the speaker. A heavy, wet breathing from a creature trapped directly under their floorboards. Arthur and Maya loved old houses. They bought a large, historic home in a quiet town, hoping to fix it up themselves. The house had high ceilings, large windows, and beautiful wooden floors in the kitchen. But from the first day, the house felt too quiet. Sometimes, when Arthur stood alone in the hallway, he felt a cold draft on his neck. He felt as if someone was standing right behind him, watching his every move. But when he turned around, the hallway was always empty. One night, as they sat in the kitchen, a strange sound began. It was a low, steady hum. The sound vibrated through the heavy wooden floorboards. It did not sound like leaking water or a broken refrigerator. It sounded like the static noise of an old television. Maya walked around the kitchen, placing her ear against the walls. She noticed that the humming sound was loudest inside the deep kitchen pantry at the back of the room. The next morning, Arthur decided to find the source. He took a heavy hammer and began to break the wooden wall at the back of the pantry. Behind the wood, there was no empty wall space. Instead, they found a cold, heavy metal door painted dark gray. The door was completely sealed. It had no handle, only a rusted iron will lock in the center. Arthur checked the house maps they received when they bought the property. The room behind this door did not exist on any architectural record. With a loud creak, Arthur turned the heavy iron wheel and pushed the metal door open. A wave of freezing, damp air rushed out into the pantry. It smelled of rusted iron, wet stone, and very old paper. Arthur and Maya turned on their flashlights and stepped through the doorway. They walked down a flight of steep concrete stairs, going deep underground beneath the kitchen. At the bottom of the stairs, they found themselves in a small square room. The walls, ceiling, and floor were made of solid, gray concrete. In the middle of the room stood a small wooden table. On top of the table sat a large, black radio from the 1950s. A small green light on the front of the radio was glowing bright in the dark. The low, heavy humming sound was coming directly from the radio's speaker. As they stepped closer to the table, the static on the radio suddenly cleared. A voice came out of the speaker. It was a soft whisper. "Do you think it is a broken pipe?" Maya gasped and grabbed Arthur's arm. Her hand was shaking. The voice on the radio was her own voice. Then, another whisper came from the speaker. "No, the sound is too steady." It was Arthur's voice. The radio was playing a live, perfect broadcast of the conversation they had in the kitchen 10 minutes ago. Terrified, Arthur shone his flashlight around the concrete room, looking for a hidden microphone. He saw 3 thick, black wires running out of the back of the radio. The wires went up the concrete wall and disappeared into the wooden ceiling boards directly above them. The wires led straight into the floorboards of the kitchen. Suddenly, the radio speaker crackled loudly. A new sound came through the static. It was a deep, wet breath. Inhale, exhale. It was slow, heavy, and rhythmic. Arthur and Maya held their breath, standing completely still in the cold bunker. They did not make a sound, but the radio speaker kept playing the wet, heavy breathing, louder and louder. Arthur realized the terrifying truth. The breathing was not coming from inside the concrete bunker. The microphone was in the kitchen floorboards directly, above their heads. But they had locked the kitchen door, and no one else was in the house. Whatever was breathing was hiding in the narrow, dark space between the concrete ceiling of the bunker and the wooden floorboards of the kitchen. Suddenly, the wet breathing on the radio grew fast and angry. They heard a sharp, heavy scratching sound on the wood directly above their heads. Then, a low, distorted voice came through the radio speaker, slowly whispering their names. Arthur grabbed Maya's hand. They ran up the concrete stairs as fast as they could. Arthur slammed the heavy metal door shut and spun the iron wheel until it locked tight. They stood in the dark pantry, gasping for air. The metal door was locked, and the bunker was sealed. But as they looked down at the kitchen floor, they heard a soft, rhythmic scratching moving slowly beneath the wood, right under their feet.